G'day and welcome to the GameDay Squad Fantasy Cricket Show. I'm Dyl, that's Stu, and we are the Fantasy Bros. Thanks everyone for tuning in again. Preview coming up for round 7, kicking off in about an hour's time. Now, it wouldn't be a Fantasy Bros show without Stu and some internet issues. I don't think NBN would want to sponsor us right now, but Stu looks like he's back and we're raring to go. Look, Stu, round 6 was pretty short and sharp. We saw a couple of impressive comeback wins from the Heat and the Renegades, another washout, and then that cracker last night between the Stars and the Sixers. How did your squads end up?
Yeah, g'day, Dyl. G'day, viewers. Thanks for filling in for me there, Dyl. Yeah, it absolutely wouldn't be an episode without some internet worries here in southeast Queensland. Let's make sure we get them sorted before that footy season kicks off pretty soon. Yeah, mate, it was a short round. It was a quick round. It was an entertaining round, a couple of really close finishes, but probably one of my worst rounds of the year, unfortunately. Didn't get any sort of top 20 placings, but still there or thereabouts for the starter and the classic competition. So really my eyes are set on that final prize, being the prize card in round by the end of the season, and hopefully try to finish in the top 5 for either of those comps and lock in a prize card for next year. How'd your boys go, mate?
Yeah, very similar, mate. A bit of a struggle there for me. No top finishes at all for the week. Obviously, no Sutherland probably hurt a lot of coaches and probably rewarded a lot of coaches who stuck with him as well. Season long took a bit of a tumble down the leaderboard as well. I feel like maybe they went to the fun park and started getting on that slippery slide because it's a bit of a slippery slope down there. I slipped down to 19th in starter, 16th in challenger, and 13th in champion. So, yeah, bit sore today, but let's hope that, I get some more of those 50-50 calls right, particularly in this round where we don't have any buys, we don't have any doubles. So we've got a host of players to choose from, and hopefully there should be a few pods or I guess a bit of a teaser and a bit of a spoiler for a little bit later on. After we compared our notes, it's not necessarily the case around some pods today for us, but we'll get to that soon. Don't forget as well that there is still plenty of time for everyone to jump in and challenge Stu and I on the round and even the seasonal leaderboards. Jump in, download the app, go to the GameDay Squad website, use that promo code FBAC24, and you'll be rewarded with a free 3-player rare pack for doing so. You can then also use your own referral code and bring all your mates in as well, and they can open heaps of packs. Make sure that you're jumping in, opening those packs using that promo code FBAC24. And I just saw before the boys from GDS posted, I think on Twitter, to highlight there's still over 10K worth of prizes for each round, or across the round, still available and up for grabs. So still plenty of time for you to jump in and win some of those round prizes, even if you feel like maybe seasonal has probably passed you by with maybe 5 rounds or 4 rounds left to go in this competition. But anyway, thank you for those joining us live on the stream. Remember to make sure you fire away your questions if you've got any for round 7, particularly some of those start sit 50-50 calls, and we'll see if we can get to those. Stu, we've got a lot to get through. Do you want to let our viewers know what's in store?
Just a quick g'day to Fantasy Fanatics. Thanks for joining us there on the YouTube channel. Great to see people there. Make sure you're sharing us your comments, guys, some thoughts for this round, and let us know if we've got something wrong, or if you want us to answer some 50-50 questions, so you can blame it on us, because we are certainly good at blaming ourselves as well. Yeah, Dyl, the show's got to be really similar to what it's been the last 6 rounds. We might actually flip one of the game reviews. So we'll start with the review from last round, actually, and we'll go through the top scorers across the 3 positions. And then we'll flip around the preview, preview game 2 first, and then we'll come back to game 1, because that might sort of be a little bit more in line with when the team lists will drop, so we don't sort of have to bounce back between the 2 games. So anyone there in the comments, keep an eye on the teams being announced for this first game this evening, and by the time they drop, we should be able to get through that second game. We'll preview that first, and then we'll get cracking into the big one, and everyone's here for tonight's game, of course, between the Hurricanes and the Thunder.
Definitely. I like the sound of that. All righty, let's jump in and have a look at the top performers of round 6. Before we do, one of our favourites on the show, Mianji Gaming. Welcome back, mate. Thank you for joining us again. No doubt.
G'day, mate. Good to see you.
Good to see you. All righty, let's jump in. So started off with a massive performance from our mate, Maxi Bryant. He knocked out 95 in an unreal performance. I think we were sitting there in the crowd and we said, if we've got a hope for a Maxi Bryant performance, I think this game is done and dusted against us. But he came out when the Heat was struggling 3 for 43 in that 9th over, and he went ballistic, scored 72 runs, which included 7 4s and 4 6s. He got that 50-run bonus as well for GDS, and it was an absolute masterclass. And he brought us home, and the Heat home, and probably a really important clash. We still sit inside that top 4 at the moment, obviously with a few rounds to go.
Yeah, everyone talks about Maxi being the face of the Aus cricket season, but I think they're not referring to Glenn. They're referring to the Max Bryant version, because he has been the big show the last couple of rounds, and that was just incredible to watch. Mate, the all-rounder position, someone that we spoke about on the show last round, saying that, he hasn't shown a lot of form with bat or ball, so we sort of wanted to fade him a little bit that round. We said he's definitely capable of going well, but they're against the Scorchers. And
it looks like Stu maybe dropped out there. I think he was going to talk about, obviously, Will Sutherland's massive score of 142. That included all the runs that he scored, the 5 4s, the 3 6s, plus he got that 50-run bonus. Plus, on top of that, he had 2 wickets and 13 dot balls. So after a couple of quiet games there, Chief really returned with a huge bang. And as I said, didn't reward us, because we obviously decided to fade him in favour of some others, and that didn't help us in our season-long quest. But all those coaches that stuck with Chief and gave him one more crack, you were rewarded with those 142 points. So well done for everyone there. And then finally, not to be outdone, or with the bat in hand, Tommy Rogers. I spoke about him in the preview last week and said I really liked what he's bringing to that Renegades team. He's taking wickets for fun. I think he's on 13 for the season after those 7 or so games. He is absolutely killing it, and he followed it up there in that game with 2 wickets, 12 dot balls. He had 49 runs, which included 4 4s and 3 6s. So again, he is absolutely smashing it, and he's having a top-notch season. He's the top bowler at the moment in terms of GDS average and total points. So let's hope that he continues to go well and continues with both ball and bat. Obviously, he might not get a chance every game with the bat, but he's really killing it at the moment. And we've seen a couple of really good knocks from Tommy Rogers. So I think I'll be sticking with him again. I'm sure Stu, you'll probably be thinking something similar.
Yeah, mate. We'll definitely talk about those two blokes in a little bit more detail when we preview the Renegades game. Mate, do you want to get cracking into game 2? So that'll wrap up in about 10 or so minutes, and then we can talk about tonight's game, spend a little bit more on the Hurricanes and the Thunder. And we might be able to get Mian G Gaming's comment shortly when we preview that game.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, so let's jump into that second game of the round, which is the Scorchers and the Sixers. It is Saturday. At this stage, it is a 3:45 kickoff there at the SCG. The reason we're probably jumping ahead here is there's not a huge amount to talk about at the moment. There's a lot of weather around, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. There's showers expected throughout the morning and evening, so there's really every chance that this game will be abandoned and it will be weather affected at the very least. I think they need 5 overs each side to constitute a game. If that does go ahead, you get those points for GDS. If the game's abandoned, you don't get anything. So it's really important to keep your eye out there, particularly for that early lockout as well of 3:44, about a minute before that first ball is bowled. If the toss hasn't happened, you're really dicing with danger there around risking some of those players that at the very minimum might only get 5 overs each, and you can't expect too much in terms of GDS scoring from minimum 5 overs. So at this stage, we're probably steering clear, but let's just have a chat about if it does go ahead and it looks like it's fined up, what that might look like for our squads. In terms of the SCG, the average GDS score is 37, or just over a tick over 37, which has it ranked 3rd at the moment in terms of GDS scoring, which is pretty good for most players. First innings scores about 31. Second innings a lot higher. It's 43.5. So if we're looking at attacking any team, it might be the team that is working hard to chase down that total in the second innings, which most of the time is the Sixers, the way that they're playing at the moment. In terms of key matchups between these two sides, the Scorchers allow an average of 32.4, while they've been scoring an average of 37.4. So that's actually the most across all teams. The Sixers are allowing an average of 33, and then they're scoring at an average of 37.1. So that's actually the second most as well. So some high scoring teams against some pretty good teams that can defend. So if this does go ahead, it will be a pretty interesting game. If it does go ahead, mate, is there anyone in particular that you might be looking to pivot to, if we do get probably that 15 to 20 overs guaranteed?
Yeah, there certainly are. I'm with Fantasy Fanatics here, who said that he's personally going to avoid all Sixers and Scorchers like he did with the Heat and the Sixers a couple of rounds ago, which paid off. I'm still going to be flexible, and expect the game still to go ahead and have some guys in mind that I might play. But obviously, if the forecast is looking bad, the preview on the TV will come on pretty early, and we'll get a good idea with the pictures of the ground. But also, my advice is to look for members in the crowd. That'll give you a bit of an idea about the likelihood of this game going ahead or not. If plenty of people have turned out, then the Sydney siders probably know, or they can probably expect that there might be some games going ahead. But if the crowd looks pretty low, if it's pretty limited and there's not many people walking into that ground, then the Sydney siders probably believe that there's going to be no game go ahead. But yes, say we get 15 or 20 overs, say the weather magically turns around. There are plenty of blokes that I'd be looking at playing. And again, that comes through the bowlers from the Sydney Sixers and the Perth Scorchers. Given that the game is likely to be weather affected, meaning that there's probably going to be some showers around, maybe some overcast conditions, I think that plays into the hands pretty favourably of the bowlers. So I'd be looking at getting more bowlers into my side rather than batsmen. That means from the Sydney Sixers, I'll be looking at running Sean Abbott again in my all-rounder position. He was great last evening. Yes, he doesn't get much of a chance with the bat, but he's obviously trusted with some really big overs with the ball. Just like Jack Edwards in the all-rounder position, he gets a little bit more of a bat. He comes in probably 1 or 2 spots higher than Sean Abbott, but probably less, used a little bit less with the ball. Enriquez tends to go to Abbott and Dwarshuis as his 2 frontliners, particularly at the end there where we get the most amount of points. I do think Benny Dwarshuis is due a bounce back for this game, and he's someone that I will be playing if we look like getting 15 or 20 overs. He's been a bit quiet the last couple of rounds. He's still a magnificent bowler. He's still bowling quite well without much luck. He had a catch or 2 drop last night, and his score could have been, a lot more. I think the conditions will favour him. They'll also favour the Perth quicks like Berendorf, like Richardson. It's just difficult to put many of them into our team lineups, particularly if we go for one or two Hurricane or Thunder players this evening. I think I will play a Kane tonight just in case, but I'll leave a spot open for a Perth or Sydney sixer quick tomorrow. It's just about, trying to determine which one of those that might be. Have you got any insight, Dyl, into who you'd prefer in terms of into your bowling lineup?
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you. I feel like Dwarshuis is pretty good, for that bounce back opportunity. We saw it a couple of weeks ago. He didn't take any wickets and then came back and, he almost had another couple there, like you said. So he was a bit unlucky, and surely he comes back and has a really good game. I really like Abbott as well. It's just a shame that he's so low down the order in terms of batting. Obviously, we've talked about that need for your all-rounder position to really be, a 2 or 3 dimensional player in terms of bat bowl and then be an option in the field as well, which we have seen from Abbott. He is in some of those hot spots, so he does take some catches. But yeah, we want to see some more probably from the bat. But their batting lineup is pretty deep. It goes all the way down to Hayden Kerr there that can hit a ball pretty well, and even Dwarshuis we've seen come out and swing the bat, above Abbott. So yeah, for me, I'll be looking at them, but as you say, it'll all depend on what that weather looks like. The player that I'm really interested in, maybe looking at again if that weather does go ahead. I know you sort of lean more towards bowlers in this kind of scenario, but I really liked Finn Allen with the gloves. I don't know if anyone caught that game. He obviously came in for Hurst and did a job there. He was unreal, diving all around that behind the stumps there and ended up taking 3 catches. Obviously, he didn't quite fire with the bat. I think he scored 19, and then he was a bit unfortunate in the way that he got out. He got dismissed. But he ended with that total of 51 GDS points in that last game, and that came about because of all those catches. So if I know Hurst is in the lineup. He's been named in the squad. But if Hurst isn't selected and they go back to Allen with the gloves, that'll be someone that I'm looking at again. The last 3 games, Allen's average is sitting at 73 GDS points. So we obviously saw that start of the season where he had a couple of ducks, or a 6, then a out, a 4, then an out, and then a duck, and that probably limited his overall potential for a GDS average and where he might finish in terms of the season. But I really like his last 3 game average, and that rolling average is really important, I think, in terms of form. So he will be someone that I'm looking at. But again, if it's definitely not going to be 15 plus overs, I don't think that any of those players in terms of sixes or scorchers are going to make their way into my side. If it looks like it's going to be a shortened game, then we just sit back and we enjoy, the firepower, the massive sixes that they're going to try and hit in that shortened version of the game. But yeah, I think for me, the smart thing to do, as Fantasy Fanatics said, and as we've pointed out, is probably just avoid all players here, but keep that option open just in case. So don't load up on all your Thunder and Hurricanes players tonight. Have a couple of options available to you, which hopefully most coaches will be looking at and probably doing.
Yeah, spot on, mate. The shorter the round, the shorter the match gets, the less involvement the player is likely to have. A batsman who's batting 5 or 6 and bowling a couple of overs might not get a bat at all, and might only get the 1 or 2 overs rather than the 3 or 4. So it's just about that role being minimised when the overs are reduced. So if you can avoid that, like we spoke about a couple of times, then yeah, I think that's the way I'd be leaning. You'd be pretty brave to pick a few of these guys in your squad, but if you pick an opener or an opening bowler and they get 2 or 3 wickets in the first couple of overs because of the overhead conditions, then you're a genius. And we know that Aus Cricket can certainly throw up some things that you didn't expect could happen. And that's certainly something I could see if we get a cheeky 5 to 10 over match. Someone's probably going to take 3 wickets and someone's probably going to score a quick 40 with some massive scores that we've left out of the team. I like the Finn Allen shout. Plenty of opportunity for dismissals behind the stumps. I also like a Cooper Connolly shout here as well if the game goes ahead and we get plenty of overs. He had a down game with the bat. He's been awesome with the bat beforehand. And he didn't get a wicket with his over either. So I think the SCG conditions will favour his bowling alongside Ashton Agar. And I think he'll definitely get sort of 2 to 3 overs if there is a full game. And, he's just been hitting the ball awesome. So I expect him to bounce back with the bat. And he'll be super confident after getting that plane ticket over to Sri Lanka as well. So yeah. I've got an all-rounder spot open for him just in case. if the game doesn't go ahead or we're not looking close to the 15 or 20 over mark, then it's an easy pivot to one of the Adelaide, Michael Nisa, or plenty of options in the Melbourne Derby.
Yeah, the other thing on Connolly, just quickly, is that the Sixers allow an average of 52.1 GDS points to all-rounders, which is 11 GDS points more than the next best team. So, excuse me, but they're really susceptible to those all-rounders. We saw that last night in terms of Maxi and Stoinis and Webster as well. So Connolly's definitely a really good shout there. Like you said, he came out, hit that dark last game, but outside of that, he's been unreal, and he's still getting the ball. He's still an option with the ball, even with the likes of Agar, Hardy, Marsh in and around that team last game. He was still trusted with a couple of overs. So, like you said, being called into the test team, I think his confidence is sky high, and he's got that opportunity against susceptible Sixers in terms of that AR position. So, definitely someone that I'll keep as a potential pivot as well. But as we keep touching on, it's all about that weather. So we'll keep an eye on it, and we will post any updates that we can. Not that we're weathermen, but we can make sure that we keep up to date with that as well for everyone on the Discord, etc.
Yeah, any Sydney siders who've got a bit of an insight into how the weather's going, make sure you jump into that Discord and send those screenshots. Don't try to keep those secrets up your sleeve. It's a great little community there. Everyone helps each other. So yeah, let us know how the weather's going. And just a final reminder, it's an early lockout. It's an earlier match. Don't get caught out with those players locked into your team. Dyl, we're probably going to get the team lists for tonight's game dropping pretty soon. So how about we start with the preview of the Hurricanes and Thunder?
Yep, let's jump into it.
Righto. We're about 40 minutes away from that match starting. It looks like a fantastic game for cricket down there at Ninja Stadium in Hobart. It's a little bit cloudy, but the weather's a nice and cool, sort of 24, 25. So we shouldn't have any issues in terms of weather. What I like about Ninja Oval is that there's very easy for the teams batting first to score 160 plus. That's happened in the last 4 matches there this tournament. And then also the team batting second goes really close or even gets there with only a few wickets down as well. So I think we can expect plenty of runs being scored this evening, as well as plenty of wickets. So there should be plenty of points for our game day squads. The average score is about 35 points per player, and it's pretty even, 35.1 for the first innings and 33.9 for the second innings. So the Thunder do allow approximately 36 points, and they score an average of 36 points themselves. The Canes allow 33 and score an average of 35 themselves as well. So a really, really sort of close and tight matchup here. Whereas I think, both teams will need to get off to a flying start and not have to try to rebuild in innings. I think there can be plenty of runs scored early, and the chasing team could chase down 180, I think, as well. So I think we're in for plenty of runs. Although the teams are looking a little bit different now, with a lot of the internationals now having left and departed our shores. For the Hurricanes, they've obviously lost Wacker and Shy Hope. They're now gone for the season. But the Thunder have also lost a couple of players as well, most notably Lockie Ferguson. They've also lost Sherfane Rutherford, but that might actually be a good thing for them, depending on how you view his performance this year. The Thunder have signed a really promising Pakistani quick in Mohammad Hasnain, who we saw in this competition only 2 or 3 seasons ago. You might remember he took 3 for none in his first over in this tournament. And then he had the likes of Moses Enriquez and I think Stoinis as well sort of question his bowling technique and sort of calling him a chucker and that sort of thing. He bowls with serious heat, and that's pretty unfair, I think, for the Thunder being able to replace Lockie Ferguson with Mohammad Hasnain. Yeah. I think, was it MyANG Gaming? I think he mentioned that, Hasnain would replace Ferguson in their side. But there are probably no cards available for him at this stage. So that's unfortunate. That he probably would have been a good pickup, and I think he'll go really, really well. But yeah, if you're looking through the transfer market or your packs for a Hasnain, I don't think we'll be able to get our hands on him at all. But I think he'll be a great watch tonight and the perfect replacement for Lockie Ferguson. Dyl, because of the rain interrupted match that we're expecting tomorrow, there's probably a few blokes that we're expecting to set out in our lineups this evening. I think we've got a pretty long list of names that we'll have a discussion about as the team list drop. But I think the blokes like Warner, Constas, Billings, McDermott, Wade for the bat and wicketkeeper position are pretty likely tonight. We've got Owen, Green, Jordan, and Chowdhury in the all-rounder position. And a few people might be looking at inserting Agar and Nathan Ellis into their teams as well. First off, have we got any update on team list? And secondly, who do you like and who will you be playing in your team?
So the Canes have dropped their team. So they've got Charlie Wakeham coming in for his first game this season. They signed him from the Heat. They've also got Pete Hatzioglu back as well. So if anyone can post that team list up on the chat, that would be great, so everyone could see that as well, and we can get that up on the screen. But while we're waiting for that, look, I think there's a few players that I'm pretty keen on tonight. The ones that I'm not keen on, I'm going to talk about really quickly, are those Hobart all-rounders. We've talked about Owen and the one-dimensional play in terms of GDS that he offers. Although he's been really good with the bat, it's a space in your AR that I'm just, in your all-rounder position that I just don't want to take up with a player that doesn't offer more outside of the bat. It is such a volatile position. It's really boom or bust. And I guess the same is for Green as well. On the other side, we've talked about his concerns in terms of his batting ability rather than, the bowling side. So for me, I'm avoiding Owen. I'm avoiding Green tonight. Jordan and Chowdhury, really interesting. I really like them for their double for sure. And I'll be looking at that in a couple of weeks. But for me, the Thunder, limit all-rounders to 32.4 points this season so far in terms of averages. And that's the lowest across the comp. So they're pretty good at limiting those all-rounder positions or players, from scoring that points. So for me, I'll be attacking other players in other games that have probably better matchups based on the data that we've seen so far. In terms of the players that I am playing tonight, I'm jumping on the semi-Constance train. I absolutely love what this kid does, and he should be full of confidence after that. excuse me, massive Test debut, and what he did to the Indians. That was unreal, and then also the confidence outside of that to just be able to waltz around and sign everyone's jerseys and hats and bats in the crowd. I think that was unreal. Look, in terms of points, I'm a little bit concerned. The Hurricanes are pretty good at restricting openers in GDS. They've allowed an average of 27.2, which is a little bit lower, slightly lower than the batting average across the whole season. And it's in middle of the range in terms of each of what the teams have been able to restrict. But we did see Constas come out and absolutely light up the competition in his first game, scoring those 56 runs, and then that equated to 84 GDS points. Obviously, second game got out for a duck, and that's -2. That's unfortunate, but as we said, he should come in full of confidence and should be raring to go.
Yeah, so I've just got that Thunder team come through. Thanks for that, Mian G Gaming. Looks pretty similar to what we expected. They've got George Garton as well, an international replacement who can bowl nice and quick too. And of course, there's Mohammad Hasnain there at number 11. So Wes Agar still retains his position if anyone wants to take a game on him bouncing back from some pretty big figures. But yeah, look, Dyl already hit the nail there with Constance. He's probably, the player in Australia or even world cricket at the moment. We saw what he did to Jasprit Bumrah at the MCG, and no offense to Riley Meredith, Chris Jordan, etc. That Jasprit Bumrah at an MCG on the day one of a Boxing Day test, and Constance absolutely tore him to shreds. He'll love the pace coming onto the bat early here in Hobart, and I think he's whether he does or not, it's still going to be an exciting watch. Hopefully that watch goes for longer than a couple of overs. But yeah, he's definitely likely to score big. Let's not discount his mate Davey Warner, though, who's obviously been batting really, really well at that game at the Gabba, watching them take it, and he crafted a pretty nice innings. He did like he was playing any silly shots in the ball in the gaps. He was always running to, always trying to deal an extra run. He just confident and so assured of his game, and he's going to end with Sammy as well. So I think those can get this team off to a start. Attack. and Christian in there, pretty big issues for the Thunder. A few players, the Thunder, but that's still a pretty and yeah, I think Constance is definitely a good shout tonight. Yeah, I probably won't be getting near or Zagar, but the main man in green will be Sam Constance, and then we'll have a couple of Hurricanes as well. For those Hurricane team, we've got them listed on the. It's probably not in batting order. Is it?
Yeah, I've just jumped in. So Fantasy Fanatics posted it. Thank you to that. And then I've just jumped in, and I believe that is the batting order that they're going to be running with, which
unfortunately is still, Benny McDermott there at 4. I was hoping he was going to jump up a little bit higher in that list, hey, with the loss of Shy Hope. I was hoping he was going to move to number 3, but so that he could sort of put an innings together instead of sort of having to blast from ball 1. What I found really interesting with Ben McDermott, while we're on him, actually, he scored 3 bats ago, 68 runs. 2 bats ago, he scored 34. And that's obviously half of 68. And his last at bat, he scored 17, and that's half of 34. I found that really interesting. But what I also know is that a number doesn't go evenly into 17. We're obviously going to get a 0.5. Now, you can't get a 0.5 in cricket. So what that means is that 0.5 completely disrupts the algorithm. It doesn't know what to do. And that means he's due for a big 100. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I love that. I love that theory. That makes complete sense, and I'm running with that. It's along the same lines of you fail once, you come out and have a big game, and the change of haircut as well that we've come up with so far. So I really like our theories that we're running with, and they seem to be paying off at some point. So I like that. Look, I am a little bit disappointed that McDermott isn't coming out at 3, but I don't mind it that he comes out at 4. And the reason is that the Thunder look particularly vulnerable to batsmen coming out at 2, 4, or 5. They're averaging 45, 60, and 53 respectively at those positions. So McDermott coming out at 4, maybe it's not such a bad thing. We'll just have to wait and see, I guess. Obviously, those batting orders can change. They're pretty fluid, and teams like to change it up based on the position in the game. But yeah, I don't mind him coming out at 4 if we get something similar to what the Thunder have allowed so far. Look, they've also allowed 40 points to the batting position across all batsmen, which is the highest across all teams. So I'm also attacking McDermott in this game rather than some of the other batsmen wicket keepers around in his position. I just feel like he's currently averaging 35.8. That's above the batting average across all players, and he's ranked 10th at the moment for that average across all the batsmen that are available. So I think he's got a big back end of the season to him. The Canes are pushing. They really want to get into that, top 2 spot, and they can do this tonight. So I think, a lot of that is going to be shouldered by McDermott, and we've seen him do it in the past as well. So yeah, for me, I think I'm locking and loading on McDermott. I don't think that move to 4 or that staying at 4 is going to mean that I fade him.
Yeah, righto, mate. Yeah, he's locked into my squad, but that sort of gives me a bit more confidence that he's going to go big. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him being the guy that sort of stands up and gets them home tonight. In terms of Hobart's bowling stocks, Mianji Gaming has asked about Ellis as a bowling option. I think you're pretty confident on him going well tonight, as am I. He is in my lineup, and that sort of assured me that he will be featured in my lineup, given that the Hobart Hurricanes are bowling first. I love when teams bowl first, particularly for their strike bowlers. It doesn't mean that they're guaranteed wickets, but what it does mean, one of 2 things. They'll either bowl all 20 overs, which means a guy like Ellis will definitely bowl 4, or they'll take all 10 wickets before those 20 overs are done. And there's every chance that Ellis is amongst those wickets or some catches in the outfield where he puts himself in some of those hot spots. Whereas, if the Canes are bowling second and they don't post a big score and the other team can sort of chase them down within the sort of 14, 15, 16 overs and sort of cruise to a victory, that's when we don't really see those strike bowlers scoring heaps of points in that second innings. Doesn't always happen, of course. You can take plenty of wickets in the second innings. I just see that as a little bit of safety there in picking a Hurricanes bowler. So I like Nathan Ellis over Riley Meredith. I don't think you can go wrong picking Riley Meredith. He obviously bowls at a lot of pace and he can put pressure on those top order batsmen, absolutely. But Mianji Gaming, I really like Nathan Ellis. We saw what he did in the 20th over against Jamie Overton and James Basley, where they were just swinging for the stands. They'd already posted a really big score. And Nathan Ellis limited them to 7 runs from those 6 balls. He's a wicket taker. He didn't get any wickets in that previous match at home against the Strikers, but he limits the opposition. He frustrates them with dot balls. He's got fantastic change of pace. I think he's due for a bag of wickets at some point. He's such a good bowler. He hasn't got that bag yet. Is tonight the night? I don't want to miss out on that bag. So he's in my team.
Yeah, he's also my team. And the other thing that's probably maybe important in terms of Mianji Gaming's question between Alice and Meredith is Alice has had the 4 games. He's bowled 3, then 4 overs. And that last game in particular, where he bowled those 4 overs and was a bit unlucky, he didn't get a wicket. He was still recovering, I think, from that illness that saw him miss one of the earlier games. So I don't think he was at 100% there, and he still bowled that well, and he was still given the 4 overs. Whereas we've seen Meredith come out and bowl across his 5 games, 3, 4, 4, 3, 4. So maybe the Hurricanes are, they're not quite set on Meredith getting all of his allotment. And maybe they're more focused on Alice. I just think maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm going to stick with Alice, because he's more likely to get all 4 of those overs, particularly, as you said, when they're bowling first. The other reason I like Alice a lot is he does offer something with the bat. We've seen him come out and have a bit of a slog and score some points with the bat. So I have no issue with playing Alice and that opportunity to have those, guaranteed 4 overs or pretty much guaranteed 4 overs in the first innings. And then if they're looking to chase down a pretty decent score and he comes in at the back end of the innings, he might be able to put the game to bed and enjoy that victory off his bat and get us a few extra points as well. So, yeah, I'm pretty keen to play Alice tonight. He's averaging 7.5 dot balls, which is probably a little bit lower than probably some of the quicks that we've seen in the past and that we've played in our teams. But if he can get anything above that, that's an extra 10 or so points that you definitely want in your squad. So yeah, I'm looking at Alice over Meredith for those reasons.
Yeah, love it, mate. Anyone else that you want to talk about for this game, or have we sort of covered?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with where we're at. Billings has burnt me a little bit, so I'm going to fade him. We probably haven't seen enough from Wade this season. Really, he's probably, unfortunately, he's getting a bit on in age, and he did have that little niggle that he said it was the first time he's ever had a soft tissue injury in his life, which is absolutely insane for someone that's been around so long. But yeah, I just think I'm going to fade those guys and just focus on those 3. I don't want to load up too much on this game, as we said, because I want to have that flexibility if that game tomorrow does go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I completely agree. And yeah, we put our teams together without discussing with each other, and we ended up with 10 or 11 of the same players, which is pretty remarkable. And yeah, I'm hoping that game tomorrow goes ahead, guys. We've already previewed that game. We already spoke about the likelihood of some weather in the Sixers versus Scorchers game, but also we spoke about some of the players that we were keen on. So if you missed that, that's why we're bouncing across to game 3 now. And probably one of the reasons why, Dyl, we're not probably looking at Billings in the wicketkeeper position is because we've got a competition favourite returning to the Strikers. Do you want to preview that game, and then we'll talk about that man that we're putting in our wicketkeeper position? Yeah,
definitely. So the Strikers up against our boys, the Heat. That is at Adelaide Oval. It's at 7 p.m. So that's the second game on that Saturday night. So it's a good double header. So good 7 or 8 hours of cricket there for us to enjoy, which is great. At the Adelaide Oval, the average GDS score is 35 or 35 and a half. The first innings, 35 exactly, and the second slightly above 36 and a half. Strikers are allowing an average of 36.8 points, and they're scoring at about 36 or just below that. And then the Heat are allowing 36.2, and they're scoring at an average of 33.5, which is pretty low. But hopefully we are hopeful for a couple of big scores in this game. The big news, as you touched on, is that man Alex Carey returning to the Strikers. He is a massive in. And we are pretty keen to look to get him into our squads. Travis Head, he'll be fully rested and take no part in this. So if you are keen to get him into your squad, you might have to wait a little bit longer. as there will also be no Usman Khawaja and no Marnus Labuschagne for the Heat. They're expected probably 1 or 2 games before the finals, and then before they head off again to Sri Lanka. So we might be able to see them in a couple of games' time, hopefully. Look, there's a host of players that we could talk about in terms of relevant to GDS. You know, in the bat wicketkeeper position, we've got McSweeney. I still think Munro potentially is a player that you could talk about. We've got Darcy Short, we've got Lynn, potentially Pope there as well. Or obviously, he loses the gloves more than likely. In your all-rounder position, you've got your Overton, you've got Nisa. Walter's just been ruled out for this game. He's got a shoulder injury. They've said that he should be back next Thursday. So if Walter's someone that you were keen on, you need to put a line through him. Matt Short's obviously getting close to returning, and we'll talk about him in a moment. And then in your bowler position, you've got Bartlett, you've got Johnson, Thornton, and even Doggett potentially as an option as well. So out of those guys, mate, who are you looking at as some of the key players?
Yeah, mate, let's start at the top with the wicketkeeper and bat position. I like a couple of strikers here in both Alex Carey and Chris Lynn. Yeah, like you said, Carey is a great inclusion for them, and they'll be expecting him to sort of provide a lot of stability there through the middle if he comes in at 3 or 4, or they might even end up opting to put him up to opener. It'd be really interesting to see that team list, and I think a lot of that might depend on the availability there of Matt Short. So we're on Matt Short watch again for probably the 2nd or 3rd week in a row. Mate, I love Alex Carey in this competition. He seems to have little cameos at the end of each season after a stint with the Test side, and went back and through and had a look at all of his stats over those last couple of seasons and the cameos that he has. He only played the 1 game last season and scored 36 runs. The year prior, he played 4 matches. He averaged 30 with the bat, with the top score of 65. The year before that, played 3 matches. Again, he averaged 30 with the bat. So he looks like a really consistent 30 run scorer player, which is just fantastic in a really volatile position like the bat and wicket keeper. And he's such a good wicket keeper, and he's going to take plenty of dismissals as well. I think he's a pretty safe lock into my side this year. He's been in a lot of form leading into the Test series, and then he went pretty well for the Aussies as well. So moving away from Billings, Philippi, a little bit of new blood here in Alex Carey. I'm expecting at least 30 runs with the bat and a dismissal or 2. And I think he'll go well in my squad this round. And I also like pairing him with Chrissy Lynn. And provided Lynn stays at the top of the top of the list there, I think he can get them off to a flyer, because he'll want to get one back on his former teammates and the Brizzy boys. He'll want to boss them around on the Adelaide Oval, which is obviously a little bit smaller ground than the Gabba. The square boundaries are a little bit shorter as well. So he's going to take on the likes of Nisa and Bartlett and Johnson and try to get one up on them. Does that mean he's susceptible to an early wicket loss? Potentially, yes. But I'm pretty keen on both Carey and Lynn this evening, mate. Are you looking at something similar tonight?
Yeah,
tomorrow night?
Yeah, I am. I'm co-signing everything you've said. I agree. I love Alex Carey coming in and having his little cameos, as you said, averaging 30 runs plus across his last 5 cricket seasons and averaging a strike rate of 134 across those 5 seasons. He also added 29 catches across those as well. So plenty of opportunity for GDS points. The other thing I like is that the Heat are vulnerable to top order wicket keepers in particular, allowing an average of 42.8. So it'd be unreal if we saw Alex Carey potentially at the top of the order as well with Chris Lynn. And we had a bit of a batting display by those two to get our GDS scores going, and then maybe a couple of Heat boys taking some wickets at the back end of the innings as well. Obviously, there are a lot of question marks over what that order looks like, and Fantasy Fanatics probably nailed it on the head there in terms of Carey could bat anywhere 1 to 6. You know, you've got the likes of Carey, Lynn, Darcy Short, Matt Short, Pope. We don't know where they're all going to line up and what that's going to look like. So, probably best case scenario, we have a Lynn, Darcy Short at the top, maybe Carey coming in at 3. And I don't know where Matt Short ends up in that as well. But yeah, very interesting to see what's going to happen with that lineup. And that might mean that we might need to pivot off a couple of players. And in particular, probably that Matt Short is the big one. He's definitely in my side at the moment, and hopefully he's over that toe injury and ready to fire. Linny was asked earlier in the week, a couple of days ago, what Short's availability looks like, and he said, quote, "Here's a chance, I believe he's getting some treatment today." So hopefully that's, some good signs there. They're working on trying to get him back as quickly as possible. If I think pretty much all coaches are going to lock in Matt Short if he's available. If he's not, obviously we've got to make sure that we've got that backup option, and you want to make sure that you have that early on. So you should know now, coaches, that hey, if Matt Short doesn't play, I'm going to go straight to Maxi, or I'm going to go straight to Stoinis in that last game, or maybe Curran comes back, so I'm going to look at someone like that. So I'm going to leave that spot available there. Obviously, we've only seen Matt Short across those 4 games, but in all of those games, he scored above 40 GDS points, taking at least 1 wicket in each of his outings, and then averaging about 20 runs with the bat, which is a lot lower than what we've seen from Matt Short in the past, in terms of runs. But again, there's opportunity for him to come out against a team that, are happy to leak some points through GDS, and in particular through that all-rounder position. Is that something similar to what you're thinking in terms of Matt Short?
Yeah, mate. Fantasy Fanatics seems to think he will be named to play this round. He's obviously an Adelaide fan himself. He knows he's been named on the team sheet for the last 3 games. So hopefully they're not playing silly buggers and just trying to, scare everyone or scare the opposition that he might be a late starter. But he's probably getting closer and might be ready to go. And the Adelaide strikers definitely going to need a couple of wins, and Carey comes back to strengthen that side as well. So if he's fit, he's in my team. If he's not fit, we're pretty blessed with a couple of good all-rounder options this week. So I'm not going to be too disappointed. Probably only is going to be benefiting Alex Carey. If Matt Short isn't named there, there's probably more chance that Carey goes to the top of the list there and gets a bit of a better opportunity at bat. It could be as low as maybe 5 or 6, depending on what they want to do with Pope and Short and maybe Weatherald and that sort of thing. So a bit murky, but if Short's not there, not the end of the world. Plenty of options that we can pivot to. One of them is Michael Neser. He bowled really, really well against the Thunder on his return from injury. He bowled up front and he bowled at the back end as well. He took a catch in the outfield as well. I'm pretty sure he just does everything. He wasn't really needed with the bat, but if he is, he always has a decent swing and can score as well. But I think the other mainstay in a lot of our lineups will be Jamie Overton from the Strikers. He's got a massive 156 run average for the tournament. That's, of course, thanks mostly to being dismissed just the once. But it's just proof that he can close off an innings really, really well. He's also got a strike rate of 150, so it's not like he's just blocking 1 or 2 balls at the end to remain not out. He's just going absolutely bananas. He scored 45 from 22 balls against the Heat in their last match against the Gabba, so he probably likes some of their quick bowling towards the end of the innings there. He's only gone wicketless twice. He's taken 2 wickets 4 times, and he scored 20 runs with the bat 5 out of 8 matches. So he's an absolute lock and load into the all-rounder position alongside Matty Short. But Michael Neser could be a bit of a pod pivot. But I think when we have a look at the Melbourne derby, there's plenty of all-rounders there that we can probably move to if Matty Short's not named. So, I like Jamie Overton, but that's probably going to be it in terms of my all-rounders or in terms of my strikers players. I've already mentioned, of course, Carey and Lynn.
Yeah, I like the Overton call, and obviously a lot of people are going to lock him in as well, so it's probably not a pod. But someone like Michael Neser, I think the thing that we continue to talk about is that your all-rounders have really got to be 3-dimensional cricketers, and they've got to be able to score with bat and ball and then have that opportunity in the field. Neser does the ball and in the field really well, and we saw that in that last game. He just brings a lot of stability to the Heat team, I think, as well. The hard thing is you just don't get a lot of points off the bat from Michael Neser. He's got the ability, but we just don't see it very often. So that makes him just a difficult pick at the moment.
Maxi Bryant is in red hot form.
Well, that's exactly right. and even Renshaw's playing well, which is surprising too. Yeah. So I think I'm staying away from Neser at the moment. He might get a decent bat, and we might be upset that we've missed out on some pretty good points. But I think someone like Jamie Overton is just a lock. He's second in the all-rounder position on his average at the moment of 63.9 across all the games that he's played. And he's just slightly behind Will Sutherland in terms of that average. The Heat also leak a lot of points to the all-rounders this season. They give up 41.6 to the position, which is the 3rd highest across all teams to that position. So there's opportunity there for Overton. Obviously, ball bat. He plays really well, and he can see at the end of the innings both with the ball and with the bat. So I think he's a lock and load. And have Matt Short pair it with him, and then just see what happens in terms of that lineup. And as you say, we can pivot a little bit later on. The last player from this game that I'm really keen on is Big Xavier Bartlett. We've seen him and Johnson sort of go back and forward in terms of who has the big game. Johnson had the big game last round at the Gabba, taking the 3 wickets, and then Bartlett walked away with 1. So I'm banking on it's Bartlett's turn. So I think maybe him and Spencer Johnson just have this agreement that they each have a decent game when the other doesn't. Bartlett's currently ranked 9th of the available bowlers based on his 51.5 average. So it's quite a high average, but he's only ranked 9th at the moment. So there are definitely some options above him. So this is why I like Bartlett a little bit as well, that, he might be a little bit lower down on that list in terms of the bowlers that are available and who people are looking at. So maybe they might not be considering Big X as the first player that they look at necessarily. So he could become a bit of a pod. A lot of people are obviously keen on Spencer Johnson as well. And I wouldn't, put it past players to play both in their squads, depending on the cards that they've got. But again, look, Xavier's taken 10 wickets in 6 matches so far, and he's averaging 10 dot balls per game. So I really like that average. I really like what that equates to in terms of GDS points, and I'm happy to lock Bartlett in and hope that, he has a big game.
Yeah, look, you can't go wrong with Bartlett or Spencer Johnson. They've both proven time and time again just how damaging they are, and any little bit of pressure on the opposition team, and that's when they really cash in and they can both score well. It's not necessarily just meaning that one of them will go off. There's plenty of occasions where both go well too. So I'm sure there'll be plenty of teams looking at playing both of those guys. For me, I can only fit in one. It'll be Bartlett in 2 or 3 squads and maybe Johnson in one of them, just in case he goes off. But yeah, I'm with you, mate. I'm expecting a big one, and I'm really looking forward to the Xavier Bartlett versus Chris Lynn matchup, or Spencer Johnson as well against Lynn. That's going to be fantastic during that match there tomorrow night. Mate, we're about 10 minutes away from the start of this round. I want to run through the 4th and final game of the round very quickly before we put our feet up and enjoy the Canes Thunder.
Sounds good to me. So game 4 of the round is the Stars versus the Renegades. So that's that massive Melbourne derby again. It's at Marvel, so it's under the roof there, so no issue with any kind of weather, and that's at 6:15 on Sunday night. That will be the last game of the round. Average score at Marvel is 37.5, which was ranked 2nd at the moment, just behind Monica in terms of GDS scoring, so nice big scores there. First innings, 33. The second innings, a lot bigger. It's 41, almost 42 points, so maybe there's an opportunity there to attack the second innings. The Stars allow an average of 37.8, which is the most in the competition, so definitely an option to be attacking the Stars against the Stars, sorry. And then the Stars have actually scored the least in terms of average as well for GDS is 33. So it's the lowest scoring team across the competition. The Renegades allow an average of 35, and then they score an average of 34 themselves. I guess the big team news or the squad news will be whether Curran is going to make that team, that final team list or not. Obviously, the Renegades are looking pretty certain on most of their players. I think there shouldn't be too much change there. They've kind of found their rotation in terms of Fergus O'Neill and Gurinder Sandhu pretty significant. So I think that you might see that rotate there again. But either way, they're probably not in contention for our squads. But Curran's obviously the big one for me. So we need to keep an eye on what that squad looks like tomorrow, and then how that's going to turn out in terms of the final 11 for that game. Look, there's plenty of players that we could look at and that we've talked about at length across the last few weeks. Your likes of Brown, Jake Fraser-McGurk, Seifert for the Renegades. Duckett's playing unreal at the moment for the Stars. Then those all-rounders, Maxi, Webster, Stoinis, Sutherland's obviously a bit of a lock at the moment. Your bowlers, we're looking at people like Tom Rogers is having an unreal tournament. Summer Murr is starting to pick up some speed as well. Who are some of the guys that you're looking at, and what are some of the reasons why?
Yeah, mate. For me, it's the bowlers, and not just bowler-only options, but the guys that can bat and bowl in the all-rounder spot as well. Marvel has been a bit of a tough track to bat on, particularly early in an innings. So if a player comes out and plays a few rush shots, they've been walking back to the pavilion pretty quickly. It's those players that are building an innings that are able to then go on with it. But we've seen plenty of those Stars and Renegades players, lose their head pretty early on and play a rush shot and get out pretty early. So I think it's a match where bowlers are going to take plenty of wickets and score plenty of points. So it's just Tommy Rogers that I'll be looking at in my bowling lineup. He was just amazing last match, wasn't he? He probably won't repeat that, but he's taken 13 wickets in 7 games, despite having the second worst economy of anyone who's taken 7 or more wickets, meaning the batsmen do like to go after him, but he takes plenty of wickets at the back end as well. He also, moved up to number 7 because of that John O'Well's injury and showed that he's super capable with the bat as well. And we've spoken at length. Any runs with the bat for the bowler position is just absolutely gold for GameDay Squad. But I think it's going to come down to the all-rounder position here for the guys that can bat and hopefully put an innings together, but also get 3 or 4 overs with the ball and take a few wickets as well. For me, that's Will Sutherland. He was amazing in that last match. He changed the game when he came on it. I think they were none for 20-something off 2 overs, and he got 2 wickets in Allen and Marsh back-to-back. He then came in when the score was 4 for 10 with the bat, and he scored a magnificent 70 off 45 and put together a 92-run partnership with Bucky Rogers there. So Sutherland will love the marble surface with both bat and ball. And for me, the guy that's most like Will Sutherland is Bo Webster. I think he'll get the 4th all-rounder spot in my team. He bats 3. He looks like he's got that position down now, given last night's match, and the Stars are on a bit of a roll with Stoinis at 5 and Maxi at 6. Bo Webster also bowled 3 overs, didn't get any wickets, but he's had a great summer so far. And I think just like Sutherland, he's got a really similar game, and I think he'll take advantage in these conditions here at Marvel. So for me, Sutherland, it's Bo Webster, and then it's Tommy Rogers.
Yeah, and as the whole show has gone, I am completely aligned with you. As we said at the top of the show, we did not look at each other's teams before we submitted our lists, and we have ended up with almost exactly, or in fact, the exact same squad. So similar thinking across all of our players. Yeah, Bo Webster's the big one for me. I really like what he did last game. He scored that 48. Obviously lucky he got caught, and then Jack Edwards overstepped, and so he was called back and hit a few more. Just couldn't quite get to that 50, unfortunately. But what I liked about it, he came off and was interviewed afterwards, and he said he scored that 48, but he admitted he wasn't hitting them very well. So imagine if we can get Webster out hitting them well, and who knows what that score will look like. The other thing I really like, and it might seem like a down stat at the moment, but the Gades have done really well to restrict that opposition all-rounder position this season to an average of 39.2, which is the second lowest. But when the all-rounder comes out and bats at 3, that average against the Gades increases to 50 points. So Webster at 3 more than likely should get a couple of overs. Obviously, that's dependent on what that looks like from a current perspective. He should come back. If he does come back, he should take those 4. We saw Stoinis bowl 4 again. Maxwell didn't bowl, neither did Lawrence in that last game, which, he's had a couple of cameos there with the ball. So there's still some question marks over, Webster's ability, not ability to bowl. His ability to bowl is unreal, but Webster's likelihood of bowling 2, 3, 4 overs, we just don't have that clarity again, which is a theme of this season. But I'm happy to lock and load him unless Curran comes back in, and then that might be a little couple of question marks for me, but I might just hedge my bets there and play Curran in a couple of my other squads and hope that Webster has another big game. Same as you, I'm looking at Rogers again. I said last week I love his ability with the ball, but then also with the bat as well. And he came out and showed that, as you said, that 92-run partnership. So that was unreal. Marvel was also giving us the second highest GDS average at all venues in terms of bowlers as well. And they've also seen 39.3 GDS points for bowlers in the first innings and a massive 52.5 in the second. So there could be an opportunity there for Rogers in the second innings to really come out and have a massive game and restrict those Stars players, particularly at the top, and then maybe not some of those ones coming out at 3 potentially. But yeah, I'm also with you in Sutherland. I think it's hard not to play him. Obviously, I hate chasing previous week scores. That's something that I really dislike doing, but it's really hard not to after he's shown that he's got that ability. He's got that's a second ton in GDS points this season. So surely there might be another one on the way as well, just to, really shore up that top spot for the all-rounder position for the season from Sutherland.
Yeah, love it, mate. Both of us with some really similar ideas. So what can go wrong? I'll tell you what can go wrong. It's Bro Down Showdown. We had the Sydney matchup between you and me, and I was on the wrong side of that again. Billings outdone Philippi by about 2 points, I think. We won't talk about Greeny or Dwarshus not being amongst the wicket takers there, but we'll, true to my word, let's quickly reveal which cards you are going to get for your squad, and let's see how giving you are and whether or not you might like to pass any of these on to our viewers. What do you reckon?
Yeah, let's see some red today. I think it's time for us to open a legend live on the show. Let's go.
All right, let me jump onto the pack that I've previously opened. Let me know when you're ready, mate. Where are we heading first?
Yeah, let's, as we've always done, let's go down the middle for the viewers. So that will be the. Oh wait, do I get all three? I got all three. No, let's give one to the viewers. Let's give one to the viewers. Let's go down the middle.
You want to look at them first, and then we'll work it out after that.
Let's do that. Yeah, let's go down the middle first.
Middle. Oh, Timmy Seifert.
Oh yeah, that's not bad. That's an option tonight. Yeah, okay.
Ashton Turner playing. Yep. And Matty Gilks. So you got the power, mate. You can be nice and selfish and keep that New Zealander in your squad, and that's totally fine. Or you can make a decision about what you might like to do with those cards.
No, let's. I've got all of those cards. I do not need them for this round, so let's chuck all three of those up for 51 cents on the marketplace for the viewers, and let's do that maybe in the innings break today. At some point during that innings break, those three cards will go up for 51 cents onto the marketplace. So a couple of steals there, I think, in a couple of those players for sure.
Done. You beauty. All right, on screen now, you'll be able to see our next matchup. We've got Dill's gone for Benny McDermott, Bo Webster, and Xavier Bartlett. And myself, I've gone for Constas, Overton, and Rogers. We've spoken at length about those players and plenty more. If you've missed out on some of that, make sure you go back and you rewatch and hear our thoughts on the rest of those matches as well. Dill, we're about to see some fireworks, I think, here between the Hurricanes and the Thunder. Viewers, thanks very much for tuning in once again. We'll be back on, that'll be Monday, the 13th of January at 5:30. So a touch later start for this one for round 8. The season's absolutely flying by. Just a reminder, make sure you're following GameDay Squad on their YouTube and Instagram page. Jump onto the GameDay Squad Discord and join in the banter and have a look at the trade market as well. Get yourself some nice, cheap cards during the innings break today and over the next couple of days as well. Good luck for this round. Dill, thanks as always. Good luck as well. Hope you go well, because that means I will as well.
Thank you, viewers. Thank you very much. Don't forget to use that promo code FBAC24 for your free pack, and we will see you Monday ready for round 8. Good luck. Thanks, Stu.